Hey everyone, Chris Hall here from Trailblazer Studios in Raleigh-Durham, North Carolina, welcoming you to another episode of Anatomy of a Grade. So today I wanted to take a look at a product shot that I did for the Mullen Lowe Agency and the North Carolina Education Lottery. Now, as you can see, this is a product shot of a new line of lottery tickets that are featuring the Carolina Panthers football team here in North Carolina. Here's the original ungraded shot. And here's the final color corrected shot. Again, here's the original, and here's the final color correction. Now, I can show you how I did this, and I will, but I think the more important thing here for colorists and for cinematographers and directors working with colorists is understanding why a colorist gets to the final image that he gets to. Because the why of color correction is far more important than the how. So that's what I want to look at with Anatomy of a Grade, and that's what we're going to look at today. So let's go back to the original uncolor corrected image. And looking at this image, there were 6 things that were most important to color grading this shot. And they were the client's wants and needs, enhancing the product, directing the viewer's eye, enhancing contrast, enhancing color contrast, and enhancing depth. Now those were the 6 things for this shot that were most important. For other shots, they could have been done in a different order, or other things would have been more important than others, but for this shot, that's what was the most important. Okay, so diving right in, the first thing that impacted my decision making on this shot was the client's wants and needs. And this is always the first thing that impacts any of my grading decisions and any good colorist grading decisions, is make the client happy. And in this case, the client wanted to draw the viewer's eye right to this ticket and enhance the ticket. It should be the first thing you look at, and it should be the center of attention on the screen, rightly so. It's the product. So what did I do? Here's my first step. I drew a little circle around the ticket. You can see it here. I've got a circle there, and I increased the brightness and contrast and sharpness of the ticket just slightly. We're sharpening it up to make it look a little bit better. And then outside that little circular vignette, I've dropped the brightness and the contrast. So you can see. Now the brightest thing in the frame is this ticket. Our eye is drawn right there immediately. So if we look at the first 3 things on our list, the client's wants and needs, enhancing the product, and directing the eye, we've done that right away just with this simple move. This is the vignette on and off around the ticket. Now it is the brightest and sharpest thing in the frame, and that's where my eye goes. Okay, so now that we've satisfied the first 3 things on our list, now let's enhance the image overall and use things like contrast, color contrast, and depth to maximize the visual quality of the image. So here's what I did, and you're going to see here I've just done a basic grade before the LUT at this point, a simple primary grade. I'm lifting everything up, not doing a whole lot, but the reason I'm lifting it up before the LUT is because I'm about to crunch it after the LUT. So here we go. Lifting it up, you can see the effect on my waveforms, and now after the LUT I'm going to crunch it and add some contrast. Alright, so we've added quite a bit more contrast to the image. It's gotten a little bit more saturated, and we're ready to kind of take it to the next level. Okay, so the next thing we want to enhance is the depth of the image, and to do this I'm going to do a couple things. I'm going to use a vignette here. You can see it's just a simple circular vignette around the edge of the image. And I'm just darkening and crunching the contrast on the outside of the image. Now, we use vignettes all the time, colorists use them all the time. It's pretty common, but what it does is, it makes a one-dimensional image look a little bit more three-dimensional by crunching the contrast on the edges. And in this particular case, it gives us a bonus as it directs the viewer's eye towards the center of the frame, which we wanted to do and the client had asked for immediately at the beginning. So this is kind of a double bonus move with this vignette. Now the next thing I'm going to do, I'm going to skip over this node number 7 here, and I'm going to go straight to this grad node down here, because I'm going to enhance the effect of this vignette by adding a graduated vignette at the bottom here. And you can see it's further bringing down just this bottom piece of wood at the edge of the frame. And what that's doing is taking the viewer's eye away from some of this bright reflective sheen that's going on down here. And I like it because my eye is drawn to the helmets and the ticket a lot more than it is to the bottom of this wood, which is kind of unimportant here. So now we've got a pretty good looking image, but it can get even better. And we really have to look at the color contrast in the frame. Now, two things I see. The warmth on this wood down here could use a lot more color. I really feel like that with the blues in the logo and in the Panthers colors, we can really maximize the color contrast by accentuating the warmth in the wood down here. So that's exactly what I did. And you can see there's a simple HSL key here that is going to add more red into the red, orange, yellow spectrum. You can see the simple key that I've drawn here, nice and soft. I'm enhancing the reds and oranges and putting more vibrance into that particular color, and immediately the image looks a heck of a lot better in my opinion. Now there's one thing that I see in doing this. I'm very acutely aware of the difference in blues in this image. We've got a blue back here on this blanket, and we've got the blue here on the ticket. Now I know that the Carolina Panther blue is this color right here. This is the reference image that the client gave me. So I know we have to move these colors, but I also want to move the color of this pillow as well, because I think it's distracting to have a different color blue in the background, and it's spilling on this jersey as well. So you can see with this key right here, I've fixed all that and brought all these blues more into the same range. Look down here on the vector scope as I A/B this, and you can see the movement in the blues moving more into this range, which is almost exactly opposite the warmth of the red oranges in the wood. So we're really maximizing the color contrast, and this image looks a heck of a lot better. The final step in this is by maximizing the saturation in the reds and oranges. We've made these chips way too vibrant. Now at first I kind of liked this, but then looking at the image with the client, we both agreed that our eyes were being drawn to these beautiful golden potato chips more so than the lottery ticket itself. And this is a product shot, folks, so we kind of can't have that. So the last thing we did in the grade was to put a little power window over the chips and brought the brightness down as well as the saturation slightly. So there's the move right there. What's great about it is because we were getting some peak saturation in the yellows, we couldn't really see detail in the chips as well. Now we can see a little bit more detail, but it's not so overpoweringly yellow, and it's a much more balanced image, and our eye still goes right to the ticket. So this is the final image, and I hope it's really clear of how we got from this to this. And I think it's important to understand the why of this decision-making process. The how is actually pretty easy. The why, though, is the more important reason that this final image actually exists. We were guided by a set of principles that got us to the final image that ultimately made it what it is. So this is Chris Hall from Trailblazer Studios signing off for this episode of Anatomy of a Grade, and we'll see you next time.